Hi, this is Keith with my second talk on the healer's journey, full spectrum healing. In the first talk, I made an introduction of basically some of my fondest memories and some of the things that I have learned on this pathway as a healer. In this second talk, I want to introduce some more concepts, and I want to also talk about certain interesting things which have happened on the pathway. I mean, the first thing I can say in this second talk is that the healer's pathway is one of fun and joy and learning. Uh, in that journey, you meet everything, and I mean absolute everything that is part of the human situation. Um, it's an interesting journey to say the least, and thousands of people. And as a healer, of course, as you can imagine, if you are a healer, you know this anyway. As a healer, people open to you, and they not only open into small details about their life, but they open up into the deep emotional levels of themselves. And in these areas, you meet all of the complexes and all of the unconscious patterning that's in there, and you meet with all of the references they have, how they have constructed reality, how they see life. And that is the most amazing journey to listen to that, to reflect back as the healer, and the key point here, to learn from your patients, to learn, uh, mostly to learn what not to do, how not to think, how not to use the emotions, because the emotions of these people have helped create the sickness and the problems that they have in life. So the healer's journey is a most fascinating and wonderful journey. The hardest thing, as I recall, back to my 22nd, 23rd year, in my early 20s, the hardest thing for me was not to get absorbed in the collective negativity and the individual negativity that you meet in the healing situation. A healer, firstly, needs to be a positive person. A healer cannot be not a positive person. A healer who, if you go to one of these spiritual fairs, or messes as they call them in Sweden, if you go to a spiritual fair and there's a rather dour person standing there, looking like they have not got much joy, and trying to look holy, and playing the part of the healer, but they have no vitality, they have no sense of humor, they have no fun inside them. Do you want that energy as the healing? Do you really, really, really want that energy to be part of you? I don't. And in all truth, one of my greatest guides in this was my dear wife Fiona, because Fiona is extremely clairvoyant and extremely able to see the colors in the auric field, the energy field around. And sometimes we would be in one of these fairs, because we were working those fairs much in England and Scotland before we started our international traveling. And someone would come up and say, "Oh, you've got real stress in your shoulder," and they push forward like this, and they grab hold of her, and she'd just turn around and say, "Let go of me. I don't want your healing. Uh, please let go of me." Sometimes these people were offended, and once or twice she allowed people to enter into a healing with her. Now you might think, well, why? Why would you do that? Well, I think as a healer, first we must recognize that we have bad days and we have good days, and there's days maybe that we shouldn't be giving healing because we are not at our best. We are not tuned. If we are to be taken seriously as healers, then we have to look into the full spectrum of us as the healer. Am I controlling my thoughts, or are my thoughts controlling me? Am I working with my emotional levels in a positive way that leaves me open to really feel love for each person that comes to be healed? Or am I just pretending to be that, and inside I have a lot of unfinished business? So, as a healer, um, to be a good healer, we must train as a good martial artist would train, or tennis player, or any other sports person, because if you look at the discipline that someone who is excellent creates in whatever they're doing, whether they are artist, musician, poet, whatever, the excellence is due to practice, is due to a one-pointed focus upon what they are doing, and this is a requisite. It is a absolute necessity. It is required of a healer to have that type of focus. Anyone else who doesn't have that is what I call part-time healer. And there's nothing wrong with part-time healers. They can do a lot of good, but in all honesty, they can do a lot of damage too. So back to Fiona at the spiritual fairs. Why would she say no to certain people? Okay, firstly, in every case she did this, the person did not ask. The person did not ask, can I enter your personal space and give you some healing? They jumped in there, assuming that the person, in this instance Fiona, would accept what they call healing. As a healer, we need to take notice of people's personal space. And I've seen this right back to the 1980s at the Festival of Body, Mind and Spirit, where walking around, I would be there for 10 hours often, talking to people, watching, learning, giving teaching sometimes. Even in my 20s, I gave teaching. I don't know if it was good teaching now. Probably a lot of it might not have been. But I was keen. I wanted to help. But in the Festival of Body, Mind and Spirit, one could observe these, what I call vampire type energy healers, who would jump on anyone they could to give healing. And when I looked at them clairvoyantly and looked into the energy field, I saw that often the healer did not have a high level of chi. They hadn't trained the breath. They hadn't worked with the chi energy. Often also they were part of what I call a magical healing system, channeling some high guide or channeling cosmic energy with a high ideal, but nevertheless they were not grounded, they were not fully functioning as a human being, they weren't positive in their own lives, they couldn't hold the energy. And what do I mean couldn't hold the energy? Well, it's like this. If I am going to be positive on this video, I can pretend that I'm positive, and when I switch the video off, I can go back to a negative self that moans all the time and meets the challenges of my life with just getting depressed, or meets the challenges of my life by blaming other people. Or I can have a steady voice in my head which is full of blame to my past, to my childhood, for example, or my brothers and sisters, or my children, or my wife. If I have that, my positivity is not true. I can pretend it, I can act it, but I do not hold the energy. To hold the energy, one must train with that energy. To hold the energy of love, one must train oneself to appreciate, have gratitude, and to see all of the loving things which come into one's life. So this is holding the energy, and I've learned this over the years, that one cannot pretend to hold energy. If one talks of love, then one must radiate love. One must be able to go into the silence within as the healer and as the person I am when I'm not playing. I haven't got my healer's hat on. I'm not playing the part of the healer. I'm not saying that 100% of the time I'm positive, but I'm saying that I work with positivity and that I work with expressions of love. I try to give love and express love to people. I try to hold, work with, feel, and make a reality out of the energies that a healer needs to have. So the healing journey will teach us actually quite quickly whether we are a prima donna person whose narcissistic tendency is wanting us to be a healer? Or are we the person who has the guts, the fight, the tenacity, and the power to actually bring an energy into someone's life that can bring change on all levels? Emotional level change, physical level change, mental level change. And these three levels are the levels of the personality. And if we can bring that change to the healee, we can begin a process of healing that not only touches the physical levels of their life, but touches the emotional, the mental, the patternings in the unconscious mental, and therefore begins a process of them of personal growth. And that personal growth eventually leads to true opening, to what we call the soul energies or the divine energies of the spirit. And once that happens, the person begins to start a process of deep work on healing their personality and healing their body. So healing is not a thing to play with. Healing is a thing to dedicate one's life to. On my journey, I have worked with doctors. I've had doctors send me patients in Margate, England. I've been allowed to work in hospitals. I've worked in the cancer hospital, as it's known, or the radium hospital in Oslo, and talked to doctors and nurses. I have friends who are doctors and nurses. I have seen the conventional medical work. I've seen the dedication. I have seen the guts and the focus those people have. And then I hear in places where alternative or complementary healers meet all kinds of negativity about the medical world. And this again is a trap that we must be careful of. I've seen this tendency now for over 30 years. 30 years as a healer and 5 years as I was training and learning about these different things. And this is a trap. Well, we must understand there are many brilliant and dedicated people who are doctors, and many wonderful nurses who are dedicated, loving, and extremely intelligent in the work that they do. So this is why, if I go back to my earlier talks before the healing sequence or series, I talk much about the heart and the mind, the doctrine of the heart and mind. And as a healer, we need to use that doctrine. We need to have from the heart the love, the devotion, the gratitude, the energies of the enjoyment of life, the joy of life, which creates also a positive emotion in our body, which runs through the chi energy, actually moves in the life force energy. Okay, now my next point. This word chi, which is life force, in India, prana, the life force. Prana or chi is life force, and this life force is colored, or the frequencies are directed by us in the personality. So there is such a thing as prana or chi, which is dirty or dangerous for us. Life force, and I can give you something so you can think about this. Life force is neutral. If you look at some of the most powerful people on this earth, they have a tremendous life force, but they're criminals, drug barons, people who do human trafficking, extremely corrupt and powerful politicians, extremely corrupt and powerful religious figures, all have a tremendous focus and life force. They have what I call dirty chi. This was known to the Western spiritual groups in our history as the left-hand path, the pathway of using spiritual force, chi, spiritual magic, spiritual energy, spiritual focus, so-called, for extreme personal manipulation. And if we don't recognize that power and those people actually exist, then they use all kinds of techniques then we are missing part of not only the healer's knowledge, but we're missing part of the full spiritual spectrum of awareness. This world, if you look out with open eyes, do not bury your head in the sand, is not always a beautiful place. Or should I say, the people aren't always beautiful. If this were so, if we were spiritualized, if we were on a moment by moment basis, focused in on the beauty of our life and the beauty of the planet's life, then we would not kill each other. We would not have starvation. We would not be destroying the ecosystems. We would not deny our destructiveness. We would face it and we would heal it. Now, a true healer understands the dark and light. And this is a very important point. Many times, and I've said this in my earlier talks on the spiritual pathway, many times people talk about oneness. And I have noticed over the years, right from the 1970s, when oneness was still talked about, or was beginning to be talked about a lot, I noticed a lot of people that use the oneness consciousness to hide from their unconscious or hidden fears. They were afraid of the darkness. They were afraid of the darkness in themselves, and they were afraid of the darkness in this world. And a healer cannot be afraid. A healer is like a shaman or a warrior. We need to overcome our personal fears. We need to develop the strength to bring positive energy in a world that's sometimes, truthfully, totally not positive. We have to see at the same time, and this is the yin and yang of it, it's the up and down of it. We have to see at the same time the darkness and the light, because this world is a dualistic world. We are living in a world where we create good and bad, where we create pain and painlessness, where we create joy and depression, etc. So this world is still a baby world. Our human consciousness is still destructive, and talking about oneness and totally focusing away from the darkness is not a way to just manifest the beauty. It's a way, if we're not careful, to be overcome by darkness. For darkness works in many hidden and devious ways. And if someone takes offense to what I'm saying now and wants to switch the video off at this point, then I would say you are in denial. You are in denial of the darkness in this world, and you are afraid of the darkness in the world. Of course, those teaching the new but old philosophy of the law of attraction say don't focus on negativity, as if somehow by not focusing on that negativity it will disappear. No, this is just a half-truth. What we need to do is we need to stay completely positive. I am positive when I see pain. I am positive that pain will eventually be healed. I am positive when I see negativity in this world, but I don't not see it. I see it, and I believe it is a process of growth. And I don't call it bad. I just call it where we're at now. We are at this stage now as a collective human entity. And we are at a very destructive stage. So the healer needs to see this full spectrum, needs to understand this full spectrum, and at the same time needs to do the athletic work. You know, if I want to lose weight and get good muscle definition, I have to do athletic work. Now we have an emotional body. Well, we have to work the emotional body. We have to use the same athletic techniques to get that body fit. And that means we have to work off the fat, and the fat is like the laziness, the dreaminess, the dreams that go nowhere, the ungrounded dreams. We have to work them out of the system. We have to create a vital, passionate, loving, emotional body with all of the colors that are glowing with the emotional shades that create for us a better life. On the mental level body, which is a little further out from the emotional and the energy field, we have to induce a kind of sharpness, a precision, a use of the mind in extremely intelligent way. We need to use logic. We need to use all of the tools, as I said earlier. The left brain, and the left brain is logic. We need to use that brain, and that is connected to the mental body. We need to use that brain to understand emotional feelings. So you see, the problem is not that the mind or intelligence is dangerous. The problem is that the left and right brain, and therefore the emotional and mental bodies, are not connected. And when they're not connected and they're not communicating, it's like male and female, not communicating. It's like the stage we are now, where there's a lot of problems between male and female, and a lot of arguments going on. A lot of politicizing of these arguments, and actually a lot of pain in male-female relationships. And of course, you can blame the male, you can blame the female, you can get involved in this ism and this ism, but none of this helps. It's only partial truth. What we have to find always is the connecting bits, the bits that bring together what we call the dark and light of life. So with working with an understanding of our emotional body and our mental body, we begin to bring a holistic, full spectrum knowledge to our work as healers. And that full spectrum knowledge takes us much deeper, and we don't get lost in what I call comic book fantasies of some of the worst aspects of the New Age, and we see beneath that, which is just what we can call emotional longing or emotional want. And the old esoteric groups used to call it astral illusion. And astral illusion is the knowledge brought to us actually from the Buddha, we are told, that the mind creates. And just because the mind creates doesn't make it real, and the emotions also create. And the mind emotion loop round and create. And this looping can be an illusion, which is our own personal fantasy, and that can also include angels and all kinds of other things which are our own personal fantasy. I stop there. Why do I stop? Because some people will be reacting to this. Why? Is it important for you to contact angels? Why? You see? I don't worry if I'm contacting angels. I don't worry if I'm contacting God. I don't worry if I'm contacting the universe, because I feel all the time connected to everything. I feel connected to the pain in people, and I feel connected into the joy of life. So the healer doesn't need to channel angels through the healing, or doesn't need to channel anything else. At the highest level, I still absolutely posit that the human being is as great as an angel, and our soul level, and beyond the soul, which is the connection to many lives, but beyond the soul, the pure spirit of us is equal to any other creation within this cosmos. And if we contact that, the higher self of us, not the personality, not what the personality feels or thinks, but the true higher or inner self of us, we not only become great healers, we become brilliant at many other creative projects. Wherever you choose to put your mind, whether it's healing, or maybe it's art that you're drawn to, or maybe it is writing a book, or just healing a relationship in the family. Maybe it is something in connection to a love of a social cause, or maybe it's something connected to a planetary cause, something you'd like to bring to the attention of the public. For example, the destruction of the forests of the world, or something like this. Then you'll have the power of the soul and the spirit behind it. Okay. Now let's get more directly into the accepted or conventional role of a healer. What is the conventional role of a healer? Would be a good question. My answer to that is we are facilitators of health on all levels. We facilitate health on all levels. That means we bring about the conditions, and possibilities for health. Doesn't mean we're divine channels. And I think thinking I'm a divine channel is an extremely dangerous thing to think. It's quite an ego trip, really, isn't it? I know we are all capable of being divine channels, and if we are in contact with our soul and our spirit, we are divine channels. And the more contact we have with the soul and the divine spirit of us, then we are divine channels. But it's nothing special. Say that again. It is nothing special, nothing to get off on. There have been millions of divine channels, and most of them are not the dramatic ones we've heard of in history. They are like a little Chinese man living in a hut somewhere in China that was 1,000 years ago, giving light and wisdom everywhere he went, or a little old woman living in Brooklyn, New York. Maybe she was from Poland, and she had a very difficult life in the 1930s, but she gave tremendous love into that community, and she was an unsung divine channel. Most of the divine channels go unnoticed. When we want to be really noticed, it's a bit suspect. I'm not saying it is extremely important if you have a lot to give to reach a large audience, because it is. The more people I reach with these videos, the more people begin to think and feel and ask questions. What is the path of the healer? But what I'm saying is we are all susceptible to the flow of outside information and commercialism. And commercialism does a lot of good, but commercialism also is a program of brainwashing, and we need to step away from it sometimes. Step away from all those books you see on the New Age shelf. Step away from all those videos you see on YouTube, and step inward. The healing journey, if it starts, I will say, the healing journey starts inside. It starts with a process of change. It starts with a process of growth within you. It starts with a feeling too. A feeling, as I recall, of some vague idea of helping this world. And that vague idea led to certain divine synchronizations, finding of certain people and particular books, and those people and books leading me on to more connections, so that the web of information began to flow into me. So I began to make inner changes, and it works symbiotically. So the change tells me I need something else. I go and find in the outside world what that something else is, and then that change goes deeper. I meditate upon it. I allow it to percolate within me, to bring out the good taste. And you begin to realize that there isn't really no inside and outside. It's all life. But the inside, as we define inside, my emotions, my emotions, my mind, my deep feelings are the beginning process. In my deep feelings, I wanted to be a healer. And that drew me to various wonderful old characters at the time. Some great women in the spiritualist groups and spiritualist churches that Fiona and I met in England. Characters, all of them, and what I loved about those old ones, they were less conditioned in some ways to be politically correct as we are now. So I know healers that were brilliant hearts. I think of one called Phyllis in Reading, who was a tremendous healer, was involved with the Spiritualist National Union and the Christian spiritualists, and healed from her own small apartment in Reading. And the beauty of this woman was, I think she was around 78 when I met her, and the beauty of her was But she never did what people expected. So she looked nice. She often wore blue. Blue was her favourite colour. A few bits of gold on her, but not over the top. Very thin. Her hair was beautifully white. Skin was quite white too, so she looked a little bit like there was some blood missing at times. She had a nice smile, blue eyes, delicate voice most of the time. But she had this ability to suddenly change, and out could come this passion. The voice would change. She had a full emotional openness. She used to be gentle, but every now and again, with pupils like myself, she would be very straight, and one could even say she would cut into you. And she cut into me a few times. She cut into my narcissistic nature. And I'm fortunate in this because I understand now my narcissistic nature. I haven't destroyed it. I love to perform. I have no problem standing in front of 1,000 people and giving a talk. I have no problem doing a demonstration of healing and talking to a group of 500 people. I have no problem being on TV. I've overcome all those problems. But the reason I've overcome them is because this lady, along with Gladys Kenny, the wife of John Swan, cut into me about watching my narcissistic side. They said, don't let it control you, or you'll do all of this stuff for the wrong reason. I talk to other people about this narcissistic approach. If I need to be the healer, seem to be the healer, if I have to be someone for the small me, then this puts into my healing or my spiritual work the wrong energy. At the end of the day, really there is no me. I am just a vehicle, and you are just a vehicle of some creative divine energy. I'm not saying we don't have individual mind, etc. We are a unit of or individuality, which is part of the oneness. But we have to really understand that the intention is important for the healer. Why do you want to heal? Do you really truly come from a level of love that wants to help other people? If you become a well-known healer, is that because you want to and need to be well-known? Or is that because you're driven by that love, and being well-known will allow something you've loved and something which is dear to your heart, which is the healing process and the techniques that you've worked on and the knowledge you have, will allow all of that to go out into the world to create a much stronger attitude of healing in the general public, more knowledge of healing in the general public, etc. So the healer's journey, I have found anyway, if one is a seeker too, because I've always been a seeker as long as I seek. I like to find, and it's important to have curiosity. And I've always had curiosity from a small boy of 4 years old, walking along the shore in Workington, looking for pebbles and things that have washed up from the ships, and finding things that washed up, and finding them with foreign language on, and imagining what it would be like to go to countries where this language is spoken. This is a curiosity that has driven my life, and a healer needs to be curious. You need to be curious about what is the condition of this person coming to me. What is my condition? What can I offer? What can I really offer to this person? Or am I just setting myself up here as something divine because it meets some immature part of my psyche, my personality? And it's not about me really being a healer, it's about me being seen, because really my mummy and daddy didn't see me enough, and now I want to be seen. Now that is what we mean by narcissistic. The narcissistic stuff comes from the damage in us, the broken aspects of our personality. And until we begin to fix those aspects of our personality, there's a danger of being overtaken by narcissistic aspects of our personality. So the inner work to bring on the full potential of us as healers is connected to understanding these personality blocks within us so that the chi can be cleaned up, become vital, become powerful, and then this chi can become like a wisdom within us, like a voice, a guide. So the life force begins to refine itself. This is a process of refinement, making base metal into gold. It's a secret of alchemy. It's a secret of all spiritual transformation. Everything we did in a way, I could think of myself personally, in my 20s, was an attempt to produce spiritual gold, to produce beauty and perfection in spiritual work. But it was a clumsy attempt that was blocked by programs and emotions and difficulties that I had not cleaned out with, not understood from my childhood, and possibly difficulties and karmas from past lives too. And I've had those revealed to me. I've worked with them. As a healer, it's important to understand one's childhood, one's emotional damaged child, and how it reacts and how it demands to be seen, etc., etc. This is the work. It's the spiritual work. But no true healer cannot do this spiritual work. If you are to become a true healer, one must understand these aspects of one's personality to get the power of love, the power of joy, the power of tremendous healing through us. Is not one of saying, I put my ego on the side and now I channel divine cosmic healing. That is an attempt to achieve, and it is fine in its own particular way. It's an attempt to achieve what we really need to do, which is to put everything on the side because we have done all the work, we've done all the inner, deep, necessary work to allow light and healing and the power of that light and healing to come through us to our patient. And if I go back to Fiona and why she wouldn't allow these certain healers to come into her energy, number one, I didn't like it. But I've always, since a child, been one who didn't like to show myself as being strong, a nice boy. I didn't. They put their hands in. Ooh, that's horrible energy. I didn't say anything. Didn't want to look bad, and I learned a lot of Fiona, who didn't have to worry or didn't care whether she looked bad or good in other people's eyes. She just did it, and if they saw us bad, okay, that's their judgment. She knew why she did it. She didn't feel bad. She wasn't bad, but they can judge her as bad if they want, if they need to judge. So you see, we have a right not to let people in our energy. And this is a very important fact for you healers out there. You must ask. You must ask permission to enter someone's energy field. If you are given distance healing, you must ask. And then people bypass that and they've said to me, well, I didn't ask them, but I asked the soul. I went into meditation and their soul told me they wanted healing. I have to say to that, bullshit. It's the personality we need to deal with. The soul that they were talking to was the soul of their own imagination. There are once or twice times when people who love people can ask us to send healing. And we have to make a decision whether to or not. And we can't contact that person, or they wouldn't talk to you anyway. And then what I do is I ask divine cosmos, if it is allowable for this person to have healing, I ask that it is sent from cosmic forces. In other words, I say a prayer that healing goes to that person. I personally do not send that healing. I say a prayer, and if that person is allowed healing, karmically allowed it, if it's in their patterns to be allowed this, then that healing will go to them. So you see, there are many issues, many things we have to think about. A healer's pathway is a complex pathway. At the simplest level, it is down to very simple principles and energies, and we need to learn those. But the most important thing is that our intention is to be truly a healer. Our intention is to bring love, joy, and less pain into this world. Everything else will then fall into place. But I will tell you this, it is a difficult and wonderful journey. And if you truly are, if you're a healer now and you're watching this video, then say to yourself, how deep do I want to go into this? How far do I want to go into it? And if you say to yourself, it's a long way, then ask why. What part of me wants to go into it? How much love do I have? These are good questions. Okay, I've covered a lot again in this talk, so I'm going to finish now. I know this will help you if you open your hearts and minds to it. I am bringing a whole series of these talks, so this is number 2. There will be more to come. I am visiting Sweden and Norway in September, so if you want to contact me on that, then please do so. I wish to say to you all, if you want to be a healer, you can be a healer. If you want to awaken, you can awaken. All you have to do is follow a few pointing fingers and check it out inside you. Check out everything that people say, me and anyone else, in the depths of your soul, not your personality. Your personality might not like what a teacher says. And that's how your personality blocks you from progressing beyond itself. It keeps you trapped in the ego. It's not that I'm talking about, not the judgment of your personality and what it says about me. Ask your soul about a teaching, a book, a teacher, or the thought or the emotion that comes into you. Ask the deepest part. Bypass the personality. Go deeper than the personality. And then you are truly becoming a healer. You're truly becoming a spiritual talker or speaker. And you're truly becoming part of the spiritual community of this planet, which will bring about the birth of a new consciousness, which we have been told for a long time will come. And we call that new consciousness New Earth. So, until New Earth comes, let us be the healers. Thank you for listening. Bye for now. Bye-bye.